Okay, so now we're doing this from another angle. Hopefully this will give you another point of view and will help you out. So we're taking our piece of clay and we're wedging it. Wedging or kneading. So we're using the palms of our hands, right? Not our fingertips. And what we're doing is putting them on top and wrapping them around the edges, and our fingers go around the edges and down in front. We're going to go ahead and stand up. We're going to use our body weight to lean on top of the clay. If you're sitting down, you can't get your body weight into it. So you're going to go ahead and press forward. Because your hands are wrapped around the clay, you're just going to pick them up towards you. Press down, stand the clay up towards you. Press down, stand the clay back up towards you. As you're doing this, hopefully from the side angle, you can see it's folding down into itself. Okay? As it's folding into itself, it's going to compress the clay, it's going to get rid of any pockets of air, and it's going to mix the clay. So if you have scrap clay that was a little drier versus your bag clay that was more moist, it's going to mix it together so that it becomes the same consistency. So again, the things that I see students do incorrectly is a lot of them will press down and try and smear it all over their board. You don't need to smear it all over the board. It's just going to make it stick to the board, and it's not really compressing the clay the way we want to. The other thing I see students sometimes do that's a mistake is they press down fine, but instead of bringing it back and standing it back up towards them, they press down and then they just keep rolling it forward. Okay? That's not really achieving what we want either. So again, palms on top, fingers wrapped down in front and along the sides. You press down, pick it back up. Press down, pick it back up. Just try to remember, you go forward, stand it back up towards you. Reposition your hands, stand it, go forward, stand it up, reposition your hands. Go forward, stand it up towards you, reposition your hands. As you get better at it, you can go a little bit smoother and a little bit quicker. And again, if your surface starts to show that it's getting quite moist like mine is here, just move to a drier spot. Or you can even turn your board so that you're on the drier side of your board. Okay? Just kind of keep doing that until you get the hang of it. And again, as I said from the other view, take your string or your clay cutter, a knife, whatever you have, cut it in half, take a needle, pencil tip, poke a bunch of holes into it. This is all for practice. That's why we're doing it, to get good at it. The more you do it, the better you get at it. Just like a sport, just like anything. Put it together, and then go ahead and practice wedging again. Now, the other method that was called the conch shell method, if I do it from this angle, basically it's the same thing. I press down, I pick it up and spin it. Press down, pick it up and spin it. The only difference is you're putting that little bit of spin into it. And as you put the spin into it and you press down on it, it hits it at an angle so it looks like a conch shell instead of a ram's head. And you can see it spiraling and folding into itself. So that was the way I was first taught, but then I started going back and using the ram's head. I just think it's a little bit simpler. You don't have to try to spin the clay. Okay, so press down, stand it up towards you. Press down, stand it up towards you. Press down, stand it up towards you. And if you've done a good job, when you cut it in half and take a look at it, you shouldn't see any pockets of air. Now I'm picking up the texture of the string or the braid of the string, but no holes or pockets of air there. Okay? So that's what you want to do. Now lastly, when you're all finished working with this piece of clay, you're going to find that the longer you work with it, the harder it starts to get. The reason it's getting hard is your hands are warm. You're transmitting that heat into the clay's starting to dry out. Plus your hands are pulling the moisture out of the clay, and the clay's pulling the moisture out of your skin. So when you finish, you're going to go ahead and pull the bag back down. You can put your piece of clay into a nice shape so it fits in your bag nicely. Go ahead and put it back on top of your bag. Go ahead and pull the bag up. If you have a spray bottle at home that you can fill with just straight water, you can use that. If you don't have a spray bottle, you can get yourself a sponge and just squeeze a little water down inside. If you don't have a sponge, you could always take it to the sink and just take some in your hand and drip it down in. I like the spray bottle, covers nice and evenly, but what I do is just take the spray bottle, give it several sprays of water, because I like to keep my clay soft. Then you're going to go ahead and squeeze the bag up, trying to get all the air outside of the bag of clay. Give it a spin so that it'll close it up. Take your twist tie, put your twist tie back on it and twist it up. If your twist tie breaks, and it will over time, what you can do when you're at the grocery store in the fresh produce section, grab yourself some extra twist ties. Have a handful of them at home so when you need them for this. If you can't get a twist tie, when you twist it up like that, turn it upside down, smash it down. Hopefully that holds the water in and keeps it from leaking. I always turn my bag upside down afterwards anyways, because that way all the water I sprayed in here is now actually at the top of the bag of clay. So when it will stay there and keep that top part nice and moist. So when I flip it over to cut off a nice new piece of clay, I'm getting that nice soft moist clay. If I leave it turned the other way, all that moisture or water sinks to the bottom. So the bottom sometimes is quite soft, but then the top where you're cutting your clay off from stays firm. So if you turn it upside down, that kind of helps to alleviate that problem. So anytime you finish, put some water in your bag, tie it up well, let it soak in overnight. The next day it'll be nice and moist. If you spray it and then you try to go directly to using the clay, it's just going to make a big slimy mess and it's not very fun to work with. So aside from that, that is what we do to start in terms of learning to work with our clay. And the number one thing is you always want to make sure you take time to wedge and prepare your clay. So the nicer your clay is, the easier the rest of the work is, whether it's hand building or wheel throwing. All right? Hope you enjoy that, and we will get to work on it tomorrow.